Steve Bannon's month just keeps getting worse. So the last couple of weeks, he's been through the ringer, which you might not know by looking at his face because, man, look, he looks like death. Let's be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you guys. He looks like crap. So you can't really tell that he's having a terrible, terrible week because he always looks like that. Looks aside, he has been personally attacked and derided by the president and called the name of Sloppy Steve. I love that because it makes me think of Sloppy Joes. Now, not only is he being called Sloppy Steve and being attacked on Twitter by Donald Trump and Donald Trump surrogates, he's also been abandoned by the Mercer ally and the Mercer family and a lot of his allies. So they're gone. And not only that, but he was also fired from Breitbart. So again, he's not having a good time, right? And now it gets a little bit worse for him. You see, now he has been subpoenaed. We find out that last week he was subpoenaed by Robert Mueller. Oops. According to a report by the New York Times, Bannon, President Trump's former chief strategist, was subpoenaed last week by special counsel Robert Mueller to testify before a grand jury as part of the investigation into possible links between Mr. Trump's associates and Russia, of which there are some interesting links, right? Now, the move, they explain, marked the first time that Mr. Mueller is known to have used a grand jury subpoena to seek information from a member of Mr. Trump's inner circle. So that's interesting, the use of a subpoena. Now, why do that? Well, there's a couple of different theories. One is that Bannon was less than willing to be questioned by Mueller, so this is a way to get him in and say, look, man, we think you know something, and so we would like you to talk to us. And by saying we would like you to talk to us, we're going to force you to talk to us because you can't dodge a subpoena. So we look forward to seeing you, Mr. Bannon. Now, there's another thought about this, and that some are considering this to be a negotiating tactic. They explain, Mr. Mueller is likely to allow Mr. Bannon to forego the grand jury appearance if he agrees to instead be questioned by investigators in the less formal setting of the special counsel's offices about ties between Mr. Trump's associates and Russia, about the president's conduct in office, according to a person who would not be named that has knowledge and was discussing the case. So that's interesting. Number one, this also means that Bannon himself is not a focus of the investigation. So that's actually really important when it comes to the legal stuff, right? Simply put, they don't think Bannon did anything wrong, but they think that he might have information. And they're trying to find out what information he might actually know. Now, that makes sense. And the reason that they're looking into Bannon, that they did the subpoena to Bannon, is what he said in Fire and Fury, right? Those quotes. I mean, those same quotes that got him in trouble with Donald Trump, saying Donald Jr.'s meeting was treasonous and unpatriotic, and that Donald Trump Jr. would, quote, be cracked like an egg by Mueller. Now, earlier when I covered that, I said, those things, some of those statements, those quotes, if I were the investigator looking into Russia, I would be curious about that. Like, why would you say that Donald Jr. would be cracked like an egg? Well, that's interesting. Maybe I would like to talk to you because it's possible, it seems like you might know something. So that's what they're trying to do. Now, Bannon also said that there was zero chance that the younger Mr. Trump did not take them to meet his father, who has said he has known nothing about the meeting. So if that turns out to be true, well, that's a huge, huge thing. Because it's not just Donald Jr. and Paul Manafort and some of these other people that met with the Russian lawyer who supposedly had dirt on Hillary Clinton, but Trump himself. Well, that would be a major development. So, again, if I were the investigator, I would find that very interesting, and apparently Mueller has found it very interesting and has decided that he would follow up. Now, some of the quotes that interested Mueller, again, said that, the meeting, of course, was treasonous, and predicting that the special counsel would center on money laundering. That's another thing that he found interesting. Now, in the interview, the Times note that prosecutors generally prefer to interview witnesses before a grand jury when they believe that they have information that witnesses do not know, or when they think they might catch the witnesses in a lie. So they don't think that Bannon is going to hide anything, right? So that's why they're saying, look, hey, look, come talk to us. Come do this nice little interview with Mueller. We'll talk in our private office, and it should be fine. Just tell us what you know if you know anything. Okay. So, again, they don't think that Bannon's going to lie because he came forward about this in his book, or in the book Fire and Fury. So that's like more of an open statement. Now, Bannon's like, look, I kind of said these things, but I actually meant Paul Manafort. I didn't mean Donald Trump Jr. He kind of walked it back a little bit, but he doesn't deny what he said for the most part. And though he did say that, hey, man, look, I said that. I didn't know that was going to be in the book. Please don't come after me anymore, Donald. Please. I still want to be your friend. I still believe in you. I believe in you. So now, anyway, the Times continues on that interview. They said it's, quote, "It is much easier for a witness to stop the questioning or sidestep questions in an interview than during a grand jury testimony, which is transcribed and witnesses are required to answer every question." But again, they're going that route because they don't think that Bannon is going to sidestep those questions or stop the questioning. I think he's going to be honest. So again, that's very, very interesting on that. Now, Solomon S. L. Weisenberg, right? He had this quote. This is a prosecutor for the independent counsel that investigated Bill Clinton. So I guess he would know about investigations. He said that by forcing someone to testify through a subpoena, you're providing the witness cover because they can say, I had no choice. I had to go in and testify about everything that I knew. So in a way that kind of helps Bannon and also helps Mueller. Bannon wants to get back in the good graces of the president because all he can say is, hey, man, look, it's not my fault. I was subpoenaed. What am I supposed to do? And look, it's possible that Bannon didn't know a lot about Russian collusion either. So now you might question, like, okay, but look, if Bannon doesn't know anything about Russian collusion, then what's the point of talking to him? Well, because he might know about obstruction of justice. They explain, Mr. Bannon has limited firsthand knowledge about two key issues within Mr. Mueller's purview. The president's firing of James Comey, a decision made without Mr. Bannon president, and the drafting a misleading statement about the subject of the June 2016 meeting with Russians, in which they promised damaging information about Hillary Clinton. So those are the things that he wasn't exactly there on, but he might have some perspective on, right? That they would be curious about that. He said that Mr. Bannon's secondhand knowledge could be used to draw a contrast with statements from people with firsthand knowledge whom Mr. Mueller has already interviewed. Just so that's to see if it all matches up. Now, Bannon, however, was directly involved in other moments, including the decision-making around the firing of Michael Flynn, the president's first national security advisor, who was dismissed after he lied to Vice President Pence about phone calls with the Russian ambassador. Mr. Bannon also helped run the transition after Chris Christie, the outgoing governor of New Jersey, was fired as head of that team. And Mr. Bannon was the chief executive of the Trump campaign in October of 2016, when WikiLeaks began releasing thousands of emails from the hacked account of Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta. Now, I remember when they were denying that these emails existed. Oops, looks like they don't deny it anymore. And they haven't been denying it for a while because a lot of that stuff, all that stuff, actually proved to be true. Yes, they did screw Bernie Sanders out of the nomination, and that was proven in the emails. Yes, even Donna Brazile, for example, had passed along questions to the Clinton campaign during that primary, something that she did not do for Bernie Sanders. So all that stuff was shown as true in WikiLeaks, in those emails. So I just wanted to keep pointing that out. But anyway, Look, what this means is that despite Trump's claims that Bannon was only a small part of Trump's campaign and didn't really play much of a role in his presidency, this kind of proves that that's a bit of an absurd statement. Again, he was Trump's chief strategist and had once been placed on the Security Council and was a big part of the inner circle. So he would know things, right? And I think he does know things. I don't know exactly what he knows, and that remains to be seen. But look, if I were President Trump, I would be actually a little worried. Not because I think Bannon wants to turn on Trump, but because this could end up confirming or revealing something about the campaign, whether it be a relatively small, minor detail that corroborates with something else. I don't know. But it could be that there might be something in there in that testimony that could help Mueller get to Trump. So we'll see what happens. But this is a big development. And I think it's only the beginning in the saga of Sloppy Steve. And of course, it also shows that this investigation itself, I think, is far from over. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.